Welcome back to Inspiring Possibilities, the courage to jump in. What if it took not one, but two near death experiences to finally shift how you're living? That's exactly what happened to my next guest, Garrett Wong. Garrett is a real estate entrepreneur, podcast host, and founder of My First Keys and Upper Edge Property Management. He's built a $1 billion portfolio, screened over 20,000 tenants, but the real gold isn't in the numbers, it's in his story. In this episode, we talk about what really matters when time feels short and pivots that change everything, and how purpose, not just profit, is what keeps us going. And if you're in the season of change or craving more meaning in what you do, you're not alone. Check out the links below and find my inspired action type quiz. It's a beautiful first step towards reconnecting with what matters the most. Garrett is a real deal, and today he's opening up about the scariest and most transformative chapters in his life and the second chance that followed. Let's jump in. Okay, are we ready? Another episode of Inspiring Possibilities, the courage to jump in. And I got to meet this amazing gentleman not long ago. And you know, when you just connect with somebody and you just know, oh, I actually got goosebumps right now. When you have that conversation and you feel like you've known them forever, well, this is my next guest, Garrett. I'll share a little bit about him and then we get to dive into the stories behind the scene. That's the stuff that I like the most. So welcome, Garrett. I'm gonna dive in and share a little bit about you. Garrett Wong is a real estate investor, entrepreneur, and founder of My First Keys, and also the host of the Top 20 Real Estate podcast, Investing to Win. And I had the honor of being a guest on your show just a little while ago when you were just talking about it. It was so much fun. Over the last over the past 27 years, he manages over $1 billion in real estate, screening more than 20,000 tenants. Okay, that has to be fun. I am sure there's some good stories there. And built his personal portfolio from 0 to 75 doors, all while working full time. He's also the owner of Upper Edge Property Management, a 25-year-old firm with 20 plus staff operating in two Canadian provinces. And I think there's some people down in Mexico, even, I know. Today, Garrett helps first time and scaling landlords protect their investments with the exact systems used inside his high volume active management company. Garrett's also married to his amazing wife, Lisa, for I think, how many years did you say?
It will be 25 in October.
25 in October. She
Yeah,
is a nurse. I think she's going on to next chapters now. We touched
she
on,
is. Yeah.
and a proud dad of two sons that are now 20 and almost 22 or 22 years old. So, welcome, Garrett. So honored to have you join me today.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I've been really looking forward to this. We had so much fun on my podcast, and then you said, "Oh, I have a podcast too." So, yeah, no, I can't wait to extend the conversation that we had.
So good. And I was telling Garrett, and I shared with all of you when we first dove in, when you meet somebody and you just connect. I know Garrett has a love of hockey, a love of sports, and you have such depth of your journey and the bumps and the bruises and the hurdles and the challenges that you overcame to get where you are, because people can see the success. What I love is the up close and personal stories behind the scenes. And so that's what I really want to dive into with you today. So thanks for being here. Share if, like, we see your success, Garrett. You're so involved in the community. Share maybe a couple of things that are close and dear to your heart, and then we're going to dive into the behind the scenes story of how you got where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I've been in real estate for more than half my life now, and I think what's close to my heart is like two things to do with real estate. One is families that start off buying a rental property, either they wanted to or it was accidental left to them, or they just kept their previous house and moved on. And then they get rid of it because a tenant trashes it or they didn't know what they were doing. So that's kind of point number one. And point number two is homelessness, affordability, housing, creating more housing for people. Really passionate about that and really trying to change the narrative on how But again, just on social media this morning, there's tenants that are messaging me because of my message to try to, get reasonable rents. And they say they never normally hear that. And I'm trying to advocate for a landlord not to be too greedy because a long-term tenant that stays 3, 5, 7 years is just better for your long-term investment as opposed to every single year having to do a paint job as an example. So yeah, you could tell I'm passionate about it. I could go on and on.
And empowering them to take responsibility too when you
100%.
great relationship because I know, and we didn't dive into this, but my husband was in real estate for years and investment properties, and the tenants can be the challenge. And the more that he empowered them to take care of the little things and kind of incentivized, it just made it so much better for everybody. So huge. So share, okay, where you are now. We were going to dive a bit into sports because I know you love hockey, and I don't know exactly when this is going to air, but there's hockey fever going on right now in Canada for those that are not in Canada. But you're quite involved in the hockey and sporting
I
community.
am, yeah.
Share a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, where do I start? Rabid Jets fan. Still reeling from our what I'll call an early exit, but I mean, we made it to the second round, and obviously watching. I know you're in Calgary. I don't know if you hate the Oilers or you're just like go Canada, but we're still rooting for them. Um, yeah, and then I got into hockey really, really late. I'm actually a piano player. I don't even know if that came out during our first
No,
podcast.
no.
I started playing piano when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
And so growing up, my mom was then my piano teacher. And I was practicing 3 hours a day,
Wow.
right from age like 6 or 7. I mean, you think about the little, Asian kid that goes up in a little bow tie. Well, that was me.
Did you
Um,
love it? I'm curious. When you're practicing that many hours that young, did you love it?
I think you have to.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow to hate it, put it that way. I didn't grow to hate it. Obviously, 3 hours, you can break that up into 1 hour before school, 1 hour after school, and 1 hour after supper. So that still sounds bad, even as I'm saying it. No, I just yeah. So my parents said, or my mother said, you're not playing hockey. Even though, growing up in Canada, all my buddies are playing hockey. So I'm like, okay. But then I got into it, 10, 15 years ago. So now I'm a really bad adult hockey player, but at least I get to do the sport that I love.
Okay, I want to know the really big important question. Okay, you got in it 10 to 15 years ago. Do you just love it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I think I know where you're going there. Would I have loved it as much if I had been forced with hockey parents and going through, double A, triple A, junior and all that stuff? I don't know. Because I love getting on the ice every single time and seeing myself improve. And that's what I love about sport.
I love that so much. And I didn't know that about you either. Like we can only cover so much in our like 18 hours that we visited last time. But like it doesn't matter the age when you find something you love and being active in the community and something that helps you grow and drive. And what do you love about hockey the most? You said the growing part. What else is it? Because this is a part I want to get at that it's so key. It doesn't matter what age we are.
You know, part of it is because I love hockey, period, right? I mean, I watch lots of games. We have season tickets to the Jets here. I go with my family. When we're not going there, we've got a home theater downstairs, and that's mainly used to watch sports. And maybe part of it is my competitiveness. Not when I play. I think I could be like a little harder on the puck and things like that. But I'm hard on myself because I'm not very good at it. And I'm a perfectionist. So when you marry two things of being a perfectionist personality and not being good at something, like you just go after it like a dog with a bone, right? And I don't know. I mean, that's just me.
Oh, that's super interesting, combining the perfectionist with the passion. And the biggest thing is that it fills your cup because it's great to have that good drive for improvement. And when you get all the other fringe benefits of it, I love it. You asked me, it was kind of cool. I was up, and again, I don't know when this is going to be airing, but I was up in Edmonton. Our oldest daughter now coaches. She played on the national volleyball team for years and played pro, and now she coaches volleyball. And it was so cool for Al and I to go up there and watch her coaching. And some of her fellow colleagues are all coaching. It's kind of the next generation. being in that environment again was so electrifying. There was like thousands of athletes there, and just down the road was a big hockey game going on. So the city was kind of humming when we were up there that weekend. So, but there's something so magical about it I love so much.
Absolutely.
I want to dive into, we talked about this and you shared with me. Um, I always share like there's so many chapters we have. We can have as many chapters as we want. And when we get stuck on an old chapter and we beat ourselves up on a chapter and go, I wish I could have, or whatever, or we're not fulfilled or we're not happy, it takes courage to kind of step back and go, is this what I want to be doing? And is it time to make some changes? You had two accounts in your life that were not just little, pretty major. Can you share with us these like literally life-changing things that happened and what was going on in your life and what path were you going down? And then where did you go from there? That's a loaded question. So,
Well, I mean, you say two. I assume you refer to the two life scares, or do you mean the
yes.
two major pivots that I had?
Okay,
I've had a lot
let's
of
go
pivots.
for it. Okay, let's do the two life changes, the two life scares that you had. And then
Okay.
I do want to talk about the pivots because that's really huge.
Yeah, no, so it was fall of 2022, so not that long ago, just out of COVID. So I was sort of losing my place in the middle of sentences, maybe some confusion, and literally, I mean, I'm 50, 51 at the time, and I'm just like, what's going on? Like, do I have dementia? I wasn't sure. And so my doctor got me into a neurologist, and she then sent me for an MRI, and I got in fairly quickly. And then when I had the first MRI, and think again, this is like right out of COVID. So there's just a lot going on. And maybe 2 days later, I got another requisition in the mail for an MRI at a different hospital. So I'm just thinking, being a left brain person, I'm just like, well, clearly somebody messed up and they just had two requisitions. So I called to cancel the second one and they said, oh, no, Mr. Wong, that's not a mistake. They actually want to see you. And if you look, it's actually in 5 months. And I'm just like, well, what do you mean? Right? Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. They just want to confirm something in your brain. And of course, panic bells are going off. And then she starts, and this is just like reception, right? Oh, it could just be some people's physiology. They thought they saw a shadow. I really shouldn't say too much. Long story short, I managed to get into neurologist, and she starts doing what I call this medical tap dance, right? And I said, look, and this is where we're going to cover my past. I said I was in my PhD. I know about this kind of stuff. I was in the medical sciences. My wife is and has been a neurology nurse. Like, I can take it. I really want to know what you're talking about. And she said, you're sure? And I said, yes, I just need to know. And she said, we're trying to rule out CJD. Now, CJD, I already even knew what the acronym stood for. It's Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is very similar to mad cow disease, but it's from sheep. And I remember it because when I was doing my PhD in grad school, one of my buddies was working on this stuff. And I knew it was really, really bad, but I didn't know how bad. And so we're talking, and she says, well, if you know anything about it, then we have to do this. But really, there's no cure, there's nothing to do. You'll be dead within 4 or 5 months. So we
My
just have
God.
to, like, she's just
Oh my
talking like
God.
that, right? And so I remember driving home,
Oh my God.
or did I? I don't even remember driving home. And of course, then I go home, and what's the first thing we do? We go on Google, right? I mean, maybe now we go on ChatGPT, but back then I went on Google, and the first line, right? Yeah. Um, Life-threatening, 4 months, average lifespan, no cure. And so I start going down the rabbit hole, and there literally is no cure for this thing. And it's kind of one of those really weird, random, like, if I can explain it in a medical terminology, I guess a protein in your brain starts unfolding and kind of scrambles your brain into mush. And so typically what people do is they might have some confusion like I did. They go for an MRI, and then maybe literally 3 weeks later they might stumble and fall a little bit. They lose their motor ability, and then 2 weeks after that they're in a coma. So when they
Mm,
say 4 months, 3 months of that is usually in a coma. I think the
jeez.
world record is like 9 months or something, or 12 months. And So I'm looking at the Mayo Clinic. Can I go down to like even Mexico, like any kind of research? And there's nothing. And so I had this. So this is November, and my other MRI is in March. And so, I mean, what can we do but wait? I had some other tests booked. They had to do an EEG. I mean, and I had to go in to take like a dementia test. Imagine even that. And you're,
Oh,
writing these little symbols on a piece of paper and they're testing your short-term memory. And then they were going to do it again to see if you're going to be declining. So it was pretty freaky.
oh my gosh.
And
Your spirits were at that time, just like I can't imagine what your brain, what
yeah,
your
and
heart.
it's hard, right? Because I'm thinking when anybody, I mean, I'm not downplaying anybody's struggle at all, right? At all. I mean, this is my personal journey, but I do know that Lisa was going through her own grieving process, right? And so you can't really go to your partner for that kind of support. Do you know what I'm saying?
Lord.
Yeah. So we uh we went through what we thought was my last Christmas. Um And then I remember Nathan, so that's my oldest. So he would have been 20, 21, at 20 at the time.
Because this is
And
only 3 years. This is only 3 years ago.
yeah,
Like,
it's only 2, 3 years ago, And I remember that because of COVID, he had never like turned 18 and then never celebrated New Year's. Like we weren't allowed to go out. So finally he was invited to his first New Year's party and he canceled that because he thought it was going to be my last New Year's.
oh my God. Well,
Yeah, so it's still hard to talk about. Like, trying
yeah.
not to get emotional here. So, yeah, so we did that obviously last Valentine's Day. But as you get further on, I'm just thinking, well, I'm not dizzy. I haven't really fallen into a coma. Maybe by March, maybe, just maybe, like it's February 14th. I'm just like, I don't know, maybe there's a chance, right? So, um, MRI comes 2 weeks later. I get the phone call to go into the neurologist to get the result. Of course, Lisa comes with me. And the neurologist says, I'm not going to beat around the bush. You do not have CJD.
Oh my
And we're
God.
just like, what? And I mean, of course, they had said you might not have it. And, but I mean, if it's 4 months, that's not even time to do anything. And I remember just like looking at Lisa going, what are you talking about? And she said, well, we looked at the MRI and she goes, I even pulled the film myself and I can't even see a difference between the first film and now. And I said, she goes, I even had a buddy who's a radiologist look at it as a second opinion. And she said, like, we don't even see the shadow. So she
Wow.
said she thought that maybe the first radiologist kind of just made the wrong call.
Oh my God.
And some people always ask me, like, were you angry or, they put you through hell? And I'm just like, no, because what happens if they hadn't rung the alarm bell, right? And then I did fall down and then I did go into a coma and I didn't have time to prepare anything, right? So I don't fault them for that. I think it's fine. Um, I was gonna
Wow.
say,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was going to say, what a perspective, like just to be in your mind and your experience and everything you went through when you like honestly think this is the amount of time, how emotionally charged and you lived through what when people say when it comes to the end, what are the things that are the most important to you? Like the things that just didn't matter. You had like the most um hugest wake up call. Uh-oh.
I can still hear you.
Okay, the hugest wake up call there. You disappeared, but I thought it stopped. We'll continue. Yeah, the hugest wake up call. So what, when you heard that news, like what did it take? Like what happened to you when all of a sudden did it even register?
Well, you're kind of numb. I mean, I was numb the whole 4 or 5 months, right? And I was going to say, like, I'm a person who compartmentalizes, and it's my greatest strength and my greatest weakness because I'm very introverted. I don't share a lot. The few friends that I have are really intense, good relationships, but I'm not a party guy. I'm not the life of a room doesn't light up when I go in there, right? So to me, I withdrew into myself, and the only thought that was going through my head in kind of December, January, February was if I pass away, if this is really real, I have this huge management company with 20 plus staff that needs me there all the time, right?
Mm.
And I don't want to leave the steaming pile of you know what for Lisa. Now, when I say that, I wanted, if I wasn't here, for her to be able to either own it passively or sell it, but you can't sell a company if it depends that much on the owner. So I
Mm.
put all of my energy into systems and processes and just SOPs and just making sure that this thing could run without me. And just executive policies and what would happen if this and this kind of fill in the blank. So that's kind of how I made it through that. But after that, we were just like, I can't believe this, right? And I felt really, I mean, obviously lucky, but even more fortunate than lucky because as bad as my scare was, and as bad as the prospect of not being here after 4 months, I got a second chance. Like somebody with cancer might have a 2, 3, 5, 7 year journey, but they're constantly battling. Like I was literally, mine was a mistake. And yet
Right.
I went through the same mental anguish and those promises that you make yourself with, to concentrate on your relationships, or you pray and you say, if I'm able to get through this, just give me like all those, people promise, right? If I can just do this, just get me through this, then I promise I won't work 18 hours a day anymore. Those types of things, right? Um,
So it was a big catalyst to change. Like you had a living example catalyst to change, like in that period of time.
I did. So, that was March, April-ish, I think around May, April, May. We went, I think it was end of April or May. Yeah, anyways, we went to Hawaii for a week and a half to celebrate to Maui. That's like our favorite place in the whole world.
Mm.
And came back refreshed. And I went right back to my, 80-hour work week.
Wow.
And just, I don't know. It's just, I didn't do a single thing that I promised. Like,
So
not a single
what
thing.
Okay, so super curious. So what was that when we can have like, I mean, that was an intense 4 months. And so what was it that you went, you had the time with the family and then you just dove back in. Like how often do we do that? Like this is an extreme example, right? And you went right back in to how you were before.
I know. I mean, people listening to this are probably like, that's ridiculous, right? Like, how could you not take the second chance that someone has
It's
given you?
human. It's being human, right? Like
Yeah,
that's why this
it's
is so important. And I was so grateful for you to share this because that's not the end. I mean, the story goes
a
many more.
little bit further. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So share what happened from there.
no, so get back from Hawaii, work my 80-hour work weeks. About 3 weeks later, it's the opening fishing season. I'm an avid fisher person and I go fishing all the time. And Nathan, my oldest, same thing. And just so happened that the stars aligned and we were able to go out on June 3rd. Still remember the date. It's the first time the boat was out that year. And we're just on like a deeper river here in Manitoba, lake, I guess it is. And it was a lousy day. It was cold, it was rainy, it was windy, and we didn't even get a bite. So we were just on our way back to the boat launch, and there's a bridge there. And I said, you know what? Sometimes fish hang out around bridges. Why don't we just try here for 10 minutes? And so Nathan drops the anchor off the front of the bow, and all of a sudden my motor stops. Now let me preface that by saying, I have a trolling motor, as most modern boats do, and it's GPS. So like you don't really have to use an actual anchor. I'm sorry to say. You kind of just hit the anchor button on your remote and you just stay there because the GPS kind of holds it there. Um, but the current was so strong, I couldn't do that. So Nathan throws the anchor off the front of the boat, and immediately my motor stops. I didn't realize at the time because I'd started, it was okay, and then I put it in gear and it would stop, that the rope had gotten caught in the prop because the current is going like this and the rope just kind of went like this. The whole anchor got taken like that in a very quick current.
Wow.
But at the same time that now the rope is wrapped around my propeller, the anchor actually bites into the bottom of the river. So essentially, I'm anchored from behind, which you're
Oh,
never ever supposed to do because the front of the boat obviously is, 6, 8 feet off the water, and the back of the boat's only 4 to 6 inches.
oh, like a big
Um, yeah. So basically, water started rushing into the boat immediately. And I mean, I had time to look at Nathan and I said, "What's going on?" All of a sudden, I looked down, my feet are wet. I said to Nathan, "I think we're sinking." And all of a sudden, the boat's already doing this. And all of our fishing gear and tackle boxes are banging into my knees. And then it just flipped, like from start to finish. And I mean, throwing the anchor off the boat, saying what's going on, trying to figure out what's happening with the motor, to flipping on top of me was 10 seconds. Like if you
God.
can think about that, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. And so if you think about a boat this way, like the steering wheel's right on the right-hand side, and the boat kind of flipped like this. Nathan was on the bow, thank goodness. And so the boat side was going towards my head, and I kind of put my arms up to protect myself, and it pushed me about 15, 20 feet into the water. And I'm tumbling around, and I can't tell whether up is down and down is up. And I'm out of breath, right? I wish I had been a synchronized swimmer. It was
Oh my
probably
God,
only,
that's
I don't know how
night-
many seconds it was.
a nightmare. I don't like that's so freaky.
Yeah. And so I was basically, I had no breath left. I was about to, like, I was seeing stars already. And of course, Michelle, you know what this is like. And so I was committing myself to just taking a breath and dying and drowning. And I just kept thinking, like, after everything I went with my current struggle with CJD, I can't believe that I'm going to drown here. And then I hear this loud pop. And all of a sudden, I'm on the surface. And so I was wearing a self-inflatable life vest, not those ones that you pull to yank and to inflate. It's the ones that take a little bit of time, and then the carbon dioxide, the CO2 thing kind of makes it explode. And yeah, so we were wearing our self-inflatable life vests because we like my rule in the boat is when we're going fast on plane, you have to wear it. But when we're fishing, you can take it off. But it was cold that day. We didn't really think of taking it off yet. And if I had taken it off, I wouldn't be here. Because the last thing you think about when your boat tips over is to grab your life vest.
Right.
And
No, you don't have time. Like it's like all fine and dandy if it's on the boat. Oh my God. Like,
yeah, and the rules, say like Boating Canada or whatever, say that, or Safety Manitoba, whatever it is, say that you have to have a PFD inside the boat, but you don't have to be wearing it, which is just like, it's so backwards, right? So, anyways, so I'm on the surface. All I see is the boat kind of, if you think of the surface here, it's just a little bit is up. And I'm just thinking, well, if I was under the boat, then Nathan's underneath the boat. And I'm panicking and I'm trying to swim towards it. And then I hear him shout, he's behind me. But I mean, the thing is, I mean, this kid is like, he swam on the Manta swim team, really, really strong swimmer, like stronger than me, and I'm worried about him. But as you know, Michelle, we always worry about our kids, right? Always, always, always. So, yeah, so we reunited. We started swimming to shore, and I think because it's like 4 o'clock and there's a boat launch right there, and it's a Friday, like all these boats and cottagers are starting to launch their boats. So somebody saw us right away and picked us up like
wow.
instantly.
Wow.
And so we were only in the water for a minute, and already because it was right by a bridge, there were people that had already called 911. So there's the ambulance and a couple of fire trucks, and the RCMP brought their Zodiac out, and it was pretty crazy. And so
Wow.
they got us in the ambulance, and they took our body temperature, and would you believe we had already gone down to 30 degrees from
God.
37 just for 1 minute because it's June, right? Like it's kind of
Yeah.
early days, right? And
We're,
the
we're in
ice had,
Canada, people. That's like ice water. Like it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're talking like if your body temperature is 98, we'd gone down to like 88 in a
wow.
minute, right? So it was pretty crazy, pretty crazy. So
Okay,
yeah,
this is insane, Garrett. Like, that's all that's within a year. That's like how many months later? Like,
well,
so
3 weeks, 3 weeks after we got
3 weeks
back.
later.
So maybe a month and a half after my all clear.
So little sidebar, I can't actually see you right now, but we can hear, so that's awesome. But if we pop this up on YouTube, all good. But just when you were describing the boat, I could visualize, I could see what you're saying. Oh my God. So after that, the second time near a death experience, what shifted? Like it was just like, okay, they say we get our messages and then it just comes louder. What shifted for you at that point?
Yeah, it's when you think about so I basically after that I took a notebook and a pen and I'm just like somebody's trying to send me a message, right?
Mhm.
I took a notebook and a pen. I went into a dark room for 4 hours. I played some yoga music and I basically just journaled and I meditated and I thought, what type of man do I want to be? What type of father do I want to be? What type of husband do I want to be? What type of leader do I want to be? Like basically just redefining because somebody's telling me, okay, you screwed up on the first one. I'm not giving you a third chance. So, and I'm not overly religious, but man, somebody's telling me something, right? So at that point, this is July. I had about a week and a half of being on CBC News, and they had me out as a spokesperson for Canadian Drowning Prevention Week, if you can
Oh,
believe it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I went to Carlos, who is he was with me for about 3 years at that point, but he's like super smart, computer science guy, had run big companies before, completely remote in Mexico. And I had thought he was overqualified when he came to me, and I said, "Well, why are you trying to apply here?" And he said what most people say, "Well, I want an entry level job because I want to run the place one day." And so I remembered that and I said, okay, well, here's your shot. He said, what do you mean? I said, I'm giving you full control of the company. I'm basically making you director of operations. I'm
Mm.
going to go and do my real estate thing because I hadn't done real estate. Like property management's different than real estate.
Mhm.
Like you said in my bio, like the 75 doors that I had bought when I was going through in 10 years, all while working full time, like that was the best time of my life. I love the adrenaline of going after real estate, making something pretty, refinancing it. Like just that's what I wanted to do. That's what I had decided that I wanted my life to be after I had journaled basically for 4 hours. And I said, I've got a few months to be able to pay you extra because this was not a planned salary. It's a lot of money. So you've got that kind of time to be able to find your own salary by going in and making things a lot more efficient.
So good. So that was the biggest shift. Like when we were talking about this earlier, when we take that moment, like maybe not even choice, but you had this incredible gift that like so many people wait to the end of however long and go, oh my God, is that really what I want to be doing? Is that really making me happy? Is that really, to like r really dial in and listen to your heart, listen to your soul, listen to what is it that makes you excited and feel so on purpose. And the time before you had shared that you knew if you were to leave, like that would be a mess. Things weren't in place. Like it's so easy for us to just go along and not think about these things, right?
Hmm.
So, wow. And now we'll talk about where you are now, but I want to rewind even more because we're talking about chapters and how you even came into this world of the work that you're doing because you were down the path of a whole different degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
share that?
So,
Because this is like we
yeah,
get
like so much, so many
chapters,
pivots, right?
yeah, we get chapters, we get pivots, and it takes courage to pause for a moment and see, and then step into what the next thing is, right?
Yeah, no, for me, I actually wanted to I think I don't know if I even shared this with you, but yeah, sort of the piano, right? Um 4 hours, 3 hours a day at age 4. So naturally, what do you think I wanted to be after I graduated high school?
A
I
pianist.
want I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to go to, the faculty of music. I want to create like this is what I wanted to do. Like I basically put myself through high school playing in a polka band,
Oh my
doing
God.
the Legion circuit, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I actually, if you can picture, so we had, geez, I hope these guys aren't even listening anymore, but we had an accordion. We
I
had a
love
guy
it.
What's that?
I love that. An accordion. My mom played the accordion.
Yeah, so we had a guy that played the accordion. My buddy was playing drums. We had a guitarist and we had a saxophonist. And all three of those guys, except my buddy, the drummer, weren't very good. And they knew I played multiple instruments. So I had this little Chevette growing up, and I'd packed this thing full of like three amplifiers, my synthesizers, and I had this two big rack stack, my tenor saxophone, and my electric guitar. And that's what my setup was playing at the Legion on the weekends. And we just kind of do the circuit, like beer barrel polka and that type of
Oh my
thing.
God, so fun.
And yeah, so that's what I was doing. And then, of course, wanting to go into music and just being creative, and we went to the nationals. There's all these things. And yet my parents are like, no, you're not going to be in music. And my mom's a music teacher. There's no money in art to be an artist. I'm like, okay. So I was floating around for a while, had gone into university, eventually made it through. I tried to go into engineering because my buddy was in engineering. I didn't have the marks for that. So I tried to go into science. I didn't have the marks for that. So I had to go into Faculty of Arts and then do a 5-year transition over into a BSc, to be able to get my undergrad degree. And then from there, I went into a master's degree in molecular biology, transitioned that into a PhD. And then I was in the 5th year of my PhD, 6 months before graduating, when I realized I don't think this is what I want,
Wow.
right? After like 10 years of school, right?
Wow.
Like I'm 26, 27 years old already, and all my friends are already working full-time jobs, whether they're from high school or undergrad, and I'm still going to school. And I think what did it for me was I still needed not one, but two postdoctoral fellowships just to be competitive to get a university tenure track position. And coincidentally, at the same time, I happened to buy my first rental property,
Wow.
and that's what did it.
Wow. And so what kind of courage did that take to kind of go, I've got, because people think I go so far down the track, I can't because, but you knew in your gut and your heart, like, what did it take for you to switch the gears? Like, how did that go over?
I think people and I hope young people these days do have that courage, but you've got parental pressure. Both parents are immigrants. My dad was really, really proud. And at the time, he was going through cancer too. So imagine the guilt. And he just wanted to say my son the doctor,
Mm,
right? And yet I just knew that in my heart I didn't want to do it and I couldn't do it. My mom supported me, thank goodness. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have made the switch and
mm,
then just been super unhappy for I don't even know how long.
mm,
So I think it does take courage to go against society. Like everybody said I was nuts. Like just finish it. But with the 6 months, I knew that there's no way that I'd be basically unhireable. Because when
mm,
you think no one's going to hire a PhD without two postdoctoral fellowships, and no one's going to hire a PhD for a lower position because they know they're not going to stick around.
mm,
So I used the logic and said, okay, well, if this real estate thing kind of works out, because I had just bought this one C-class duplex in our neighborhood here in our city. If the real estate thing works out, then maybe I'll get a job for a little bit, and just to fund the mortgages and things like that. And that's exactly what I did. So I downgraded my PhD to a master's. I wrote up my thesis in 5 months. I graduated that year. And then I went to work for the Federal Virology Lab and Apotex Pharmaceuticals over the next 9 years. And kind of that was my life in sciences, all while I was working full time and building this real estate portfolio.
so cool. So it's not an or, you made it an and so that you could transition into real estate, which you really love.
Yeah, 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 that's a really good way of putting it, Michelle. I mean, nobody knows, right? I mean, I had some really, really good early success with real estate. Um, I had an ex-partner now. We were really good friends through university. We'd actually gone to high school together. Didn't even have any kind of shareholders agreement. We just kind of fell into this holding company and property management and worked really hard at it. Um, but yeah, I think, I always look back at myself in my 30s and, I had enough money to quote unquote retire, although I was single. And, just the arrogance to even think that you can retire in your 30s, right? And what does retirement really mean? And now I look at these, I'm sorry, I'll say it, these Instagram warriors that are flouting the gold watches and the Lamborghinis that are leased and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, that means nothing. Like you guys have no idea what life is and what true success is going to be until you walk through failure after failure after failure. And then you can say you've made something of yourself. So yeah, I
Well,
was young, I was a punk, I admit it, and arrogant. And if I had listened, maybe had some mentors back then, I think I'd be a lot further along now than I am.
wow. Wow, what great insights too, because hindsight 2020, all those sort of things. What was really resonating with me was that kind of feeling of purpose, like having a purpose. Like you can have all that success, but what is really the true, what is your definition of success? What does that mean to you?
Isn't that a question I asked you on my podcast?
Oh, so now I'm curious. You did ask me that, and I'm like, what is yours?
I think, not to sound cliche, but success for me means, being able to spend time with who you want when you want, right?
Mm.
It's not a definition of money, although definitely money has a factor in there. Otherwise, you can't really do what you want when you want. So, to me, it's obviously being financially independent. Um, and do what I want when I want means I have the travel bug. I would love to be able to get to the point where I am working on my laptop in different places in the world and having multiple businesses. So that's kind of where what drives me, as well as the bigger purpose, right? Of helping out, like I had said at the beginning of the podcast, just helping out families realize true wealth through real estate.
I love that. We were talking a little bit before we went live on here about the importance of resilience because to be able to do what we want when you want, like that's a beautiful definition of success with the people that you want. Also know that it takes commitment and it takes building resiliency and it takes all these other beautiful components of it. And I think what we were talking about earlier is that resiliency is one of those that just doesn't come like that. It comes through the experiences and getting back up. What's
Yes.
your thought around resiliency? Because that's one of the things that I see um, big challenges in that arena is that when it becomes hard, it's easy to quit. So that's why I want to make a super clear defining line between quitting because something's hard or quitting because it's not the right thing for you, like giving something enough of a chance and building that resiliency and working through the hard stuff because anything worth having is going to have its challenges.
Yeah, I think I mentioned the word failure.
Mm,
Um, I think I truly believe this now that like true success doesn't come without failure.
mm.
There's no such thing as accidental success. And those around us that we see, the super successful or even the ultra rich, the billionaires, and some people, like you've heard it, oh, uh, they're really lucky, or they came from money, or they were in the right place at the right time. I don't believe any of that.
Mm.
From the people I know that I'm starting to look up to, and as my network widens, the one constant in all of that is that these people work so hard. And these are people who are like more money than you and I and who knows put together, right? Like when you look at a billionaire who never has to work a day in their life, like a billionaire with a B, and yet they're working harder than most people. Like, how does
What
that
I
make
think it is,
sense?
yeah. And what do you think that is? That it's a love, it's a passion, it's a drive, it's a purpose.
It's purpose. It's purpose. I mean, how many people do you hear that have these large exits in their company and get hooked on drugs because they're like rudderless in an
Yeah,
ocean, right? You
yeah,
hear it all the time. These 50-year-olds that finally made it big, they sell their company for 30, 40, 50 million, and they have no idea what's next
yeah.
because their goal was to sell that company. Their goal was not a bigger purpose of eradicating hunger or, bringing I don't know, purified water to third world countries. I mean, the truly successful philanthropy, right? They just keep pushing and pushing and pushing because that's who they are. That's what defines them, right?
And that's so beautiful. Like that's why. having that purpose, that's a whole other huge component of it, building the resiliency, that tenacity, the getting back up, having a vision, I think often that's bigger than ourselves is
Yeah,
really what creates that magic and that drive and that purpose. It's an underlying kind of essence of it.
it is. It is. Yeah. So resilience, to answer your question, I mean, I just think there's the word quit doesn't exist, right?
Mm,
And in the face of failure, you keep going. And even
mhm.
if you do fail, you do it again and you keep going, right? Because you just know that you're just not going to stop, and
Yeah.
that's it.
So good. A couple questions I want to ask you. I can't believe how fast the time is going by, first of all. But we touched when I was on your podcast about your son, and I loved the example because he's, and if it's okay, we chat about this for a moment. Like, 'cause
Sure.
our kids are going through all their different chapters too, and he went down a path and now changing a path, but
Yeah.
he had built that resiliency, and I think when we talked about it, it was just like really understanding he was not a quitter at all. It's just like really coming through with understanding what he wanted next and to be courageous enough to switch the channel to change the chapter.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Evan, my younger son, who's now 20, and I think I had mentioned this his journey with Premier level soccer. He was a late bloomer. We had him through martial arts, Taekwondo for a long time, and finally at 11 years old, he's like, "Dad, I don't really want to do this anymore." I'm like, "Okay, but you got to do something to stay active." That was kind of our rule. I said, "What do you want to do?" Well, I really want to try soccer, and I'm like, "Soccer, right?" I'm like, "Okay." So we talk it around and look, and there was a premier club that was taking I think they were already had just started, so he was kind of late for tryouts, but they had him do a tryout. He made the team and he played with them for a couple of years. And then you kind of get complacent, right? As people do these days. And he's playing higher level, not rec. And he didn't make the team all of a sudden after being on it for 2 years.
Mm,
And so it was a little bit political at the time, but I didn't know. I didn't know that at the time. Sorry. And so he tried again, and he didn't make it again. And then so he started playing rec, and he just hated it, right? Because now he's played this elite level for so long. And he tried out three more times, and he finally made it back onto that team. Meanwhile, imagine all of his buddies are on this team. He's the only one that got cut. And that made him into, according to his coaches, the most coachable, best player. And he excelled for years and years, all the way through high school, kept playing on different teams. And so I think that taught him something. And then we fast forward, he graduates, goes into college. He's in business, information technology, business IT, and he's just sitting around with his buddies and his classmates, and everybody's talking about, okay, what are you going to do next year with their co-ops? I'm going to be working for this insurance company and this insurance company. And he just said, Mom and Dad, like I can't even bear to even open up my laptop, right?
mm,
I can't even bear to even hand in my last assignments. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I did say, you are talking to two parents that have had so many pivots. We're not going to force you into something, but what excites you, And he said, I think I want to go into the military. So, literally at the time of this podcast, which is, end of May 2025, we should be hearing in a couple of weeks because it's just such a long process, right? When he's going to be going off to basic training, and as much as terrified as I am about the military, I do want him to be passionate because what's the point of going through a career if you're not passionate about it? Like to be
I
20 and then all of a sudden just, okay, that's the rest of your life. It's crazy.
That's why I wanted to talk about this because when you shared the story and I love that about the sports experience for all my kids. They've made teams, not made teams. And there's like people go, "Oh, you're raised by two Olympians. What are your parents like?" And our biggest thing is that they love what they're doing and they enjoy it and it's like not that pressure. There's something that comes from the inside and you witness that with your son, which was so powerful. So to know that he has that resiliency, that dream, that drive, that desire and I'm touching on this because it's so important. I think when our young kids, our adults are graduating high school, the first question is, what are you going to do? And everyone thinks they have to have it all figured out.
Hmm.
And this is just a beautiful example of knowing like we all get to have so many chapters. And when you feel like the joy is sucked out or it's not the thing, like, listen to your soul and surround yourself with the people that get you and see. And because of the way you've raised your kids, you and Lisa, like understanding the chapters of pivots and that it has to come from the inside and then support them with those decisions. So I just want to kudos to you. And I really want everyone to hear that message. It doesn't matter how old you are, where you are on the chapters, just to really listen to what's calling for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's like I had said, like, I mean, if we even talk about Lisa for a second, yes, 33 years in nursing and about to go through early retirement, but she doesn't have much of a pension because she pivoted so many times, right? I mean, worked for 6, 7 years and then decided to fly off and nurse in England for 2 years, right? So you lose your pension there.
And when it
And
trade
then
that experience though, right? Like
well,
that's
no, exactly, right? Like she worked in Reading, she worked in Oxford. I mean, just still talks about it to this day, still has really good friends from that time period. And
Mhm.
then came back, worked for another, 5, 10 years, and all of a sudden she decided to achieve a bigger purpose. And she worked for MS, for multiple sclerosis research, because that was a passion of hers, and did that for 3 or 4 years, then went back and then left again and took a 25% pay cut to be an educator, a clinical education facilitator for the Faculty of Nursing, and started teaching nurses. And of course, a U of M salary is a lot different than a hospital salary, and did that for a long time. So when she talks about, oh, I should have stayed, all my friends have these great pensions. And I'm like, yeah, but what do they have really? They worked in the same place, the same hospital, sometimes the same clinic for 35 years.
And there can be some good things about that, and it's also you look like the gifts that came from that journey
The
and
life
that potential.
experiences,
The life
yes.
experience is so good. Oh my gosh, my friend, I can't believe we're coming up to an hour. I have three big questions I want to ask you before we wrap up. What gives you joy?
What gives me joy is, again, I'm going to go back to just doing the things that I love. And true joy for me is just spending time with loved ones and family. Like that's
So
what I work for.
so good. And okay, I lied. I have more than three questions. Your go-tos when you feel like you're stuck or you have a challenging situation, or when you feel like you need to muster the courage to make a decision around something, like walking into a room full of CEOs, or we talked about this on the podcast. Like, what's your go-to to step into that unknown and continue to move when it's maybe particularly or maybe a scary or a different situation?
Movement. And when I say that, I mean going for a walk, going for a drive, lots of contemplation, and just working it out in my head. I would say, like we travel, we have an RV, and I love just driving on fishing trips and things like that.
I love
And
it.
honestly, that is when I do the best creative thinking for my businesses.
So
And
good.
yeah, I mean, just movement. I just need to be moving. Even when I have an important phone call, I'm pacing the room. I can't just sit there, right? Because I
Oh
just
yeah.
find my brain, it's just more creative. I don't know what it is. It's just something to do with me.
So good. Oh my God, I love that. And as you know, I talked on my TEDx about the nap, snack, play. It is all around
Yeah.
that. Like, we feed on our body, our mind to move, to have fun with what we're doing. Okay, honestly, the last two questions. What would you tell your 12-year-old self?
Oh boy. I've heard 20-year-old, my 12-year-old self. Okay, so that's like beginning of high school, maybe junior high. I would tell myself to really start exploring, thinking outside the box and not being defined by what society wants of us.
So good. And what would your 12-year-old self tell you today?
Without using swear words. Um, Geez, back then, I mean, I think I was stubborn, honestly, Michelle, until I was in my 40s. I just thought I knew it all, as most young people do. And I think too many young people have these plans in their heads. And so my 12-year-old self would probably say, you know what, I've got this, I've got my plan, I'm just going to follow it. And the 54-year-old self is obviously like, you have no idea what plans are because they will change and you have to have the flexibility to change.
Oh, that's so good. So if your 12-year-old self is looking at you now, what would your 12-year-old self looking at you say to you?
Yeah, probably, shouldn't have been so stubborn. And I don't want to say listened. I mean, there's different levels of success, and people look at me and say, like, why are you pushing? Because I'm not there yet, right? And I think I did I did things for too long without realizing I needed to change. And I mean that with the property management business, with my relationship with my ex-business partner. Like I didn't get out of that until 20 years. And yet I knew after year 10 that I probably wanted to go in a different direction. It was amicable, but I lost 10 years. Like 10
Mm,
years. Like you can build a lifetime in 10 years, you know?
mm.
So I think that's my biggest regret is that I didn't have the courage to go against the norm, go against him, go against just what people are expecting of me.
Wow, that's big. Do you think your 12-year-old self would be proud of you now, looking at you?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think on the path that I was on, what I thought I was going to do when I was 12 and what I've achieved, which is beyond anything that I would have thought going through like just that traditional education. Yeah, I would say so.
So good. So good. Oh, my friend, this has been so fun. So many incredible life lessons you have shared with us. Um, what you're doing now, is there a way people can get, I'll have all your links and everything here. What floats your boat? What excites you the most? And how can,
Yeah, thanks. I give back. I like teaching. And like I said, I've created a few things here. I've got an online community that teach people not only just like there's a gazillion people out there that teach, how to get started in real estate, but I think me being in the trenches, the 20,000 tenants that we've screened, that's how I can give back. So yeah, if people just want to reach out, I've got tons of free webinars out there, tenant screening master classes, just trying to educate, right? Even free consultation if somebody has a particular issue with a tenant, that's kind of my forte.
okay, so cool. Maybe we might have to do a fun master class or something around that because I think it's such a great avenue to be in real estate investment and, missing the pitfalls and having fun, right?
Yeah.
So
If
good.
you can have fun, property management and fun, that's kind of those two words don't come together too often, but
Well, I joke and say it's about the big FU and
right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
fun
that's so
with that.
cute.
Yeah. So how you can figure that out, how to have fun. Well, my friend Garrett, thank you so much. Any last words of wisdom or things you want to share before we sign off?
I just wanted to reciprocate your sentiments, Michelle. For the first time that we even had the pre-call back in, I don't even know, it wasn't that long ago. Yeah, sometimes you just feel like you're old souls, right? Like you just kind of connect with somebody. I don't know how it happens, and I feel that in you too. So I wanted to thank you for what I see as a friendship as well.
So good. So good. Well, awesome to spend time. I'm sure this is not the last. We'll talk about whatever else might be coming next, inspiring possibilities, the courage to jump in. Garrett, thank you so much for being my guest and sharing your words of wisdom and inspiration with us all.
All right, thanks for having me.
Wow, what a powerful reminder that sometimes life shakes us awake so we can realign with what truly matters. Huge thank you to Garrett for his honesty, wisdom, and heart. If you're navigating change or questioning what's next, let this be your sign. You're not stuck, you're in the middle of your next chapter. If this episode moved you, I'd love you to share it with someone who needs a little dose of courage. Leave a review because it helps the message reach more hearts. And if you haven't watched it yet, check out my TEDx talk about how to move from perfection to possibility in the links in the show notes. And if you felt a little bit stuck and you want to know what's holding you back, maybe check out the Inspired Action quiz to find out a little bit more. Remember, you don't have to go alone. Here we rise together. So we'll see you next time on Inspiring Possibilities, the courage to jump in. Until then, take care.